live, guys. Oh, Jesus. That's a terrible way to start. Hello, everybody.
Jesus Christ.
Lewis has been placed by a baby. So it sounds like it's storming outside, so I'm going to go ahead right now. Since we've had it happen before, let's give the Jesse Ventura warning. I might be being targeted by the HARP system. It is potentially possible the government is pointing 3.7 million watts to the cloud structures, trying to attack me all the way in here in Baja. Mostly 6 months out of the year, I'm not even in the continental United States. I'm in Baja. The problem is the storms. About half of my dogs are fine, but half hate storms. But if the power goes out because of HARP, there'll be another stupid intro next week. Hello, everybody. We're back. I don't know if you guys saw that intro. No. Although, you know, not
all about the Gulf of Tonka.
Yeah. You tell me. You tell me what happened. Does jet fuel melt steel beams? I'm just asking questions. Okay, Jesse, calm down. We get it. You're asking questions. I ask questions all the time, like, why is my cholesterol so high? The answer is because I love quesadillas. All right, Jesse, I live in the Baja. I only eat quesadillas. All right, Jesse, we get it. How are you guys doing?
Quesadillas.
Quesadillas, yeah. He's got to say it wrong. Every now and then I like to eat a good old-fashioned enchilada.
I am doing better than Alex. I will tell you that.
Everybody is right now.
Same.
Well, not Somalian slave laborers.
That's true.
I mean, they've got to have it pretty rough right now. I'm just saying. Oh my God, audio off. So it's been a while since we've seen each other last. Lewis has been adopted by a very rich family, but they make him sit in the Harry Potter bedroom, as they call it. So that's his situation. He's got unlimited funds, but he has to sleep in that bedroom.
I can only afford 2 stars.
Yeah. Yeah, the stars aren't bright in his room. He's just ripping off. The paint came off with it.
The shooting star.
What have you guys been watching? We are here today to destroy the Transformers movie. We're going to be reviewing Transformers: Rise of the Beast, and it won't be nice. I already foresee that. At least not for me and Giovanni. I think Alex might have a soft spot on it, and I think Lewis is fighting his inner child. Like, you know it's a bad movie, bro, and the inner child's like, but it's the cartoon storyline.
That's true. My wife has never seen the show The Outsider, so we just watched all of that. And I have been going through all the DC movies. I don't know why.
You hate yourself.
The other night, I finished the Nolan movies. The other night, I watched Batman and Robin. Which, so that was our Batman movie because the toys were cool. I'm ashamed to say that I liked that movie at some point.
Did you dream of neon that night?
It's terrible.
No.
They all are after number 2, really.
Yeah.
That is true.
A couple of them are so bad they're fun, but they're all bad.
And a movie I watched that we will be reviewing as soon as it's available for me to give the code to the boys is The Flash. I recently watched that. That was an experience.
So I have to say, just real quick, I don't know how bad the CG is in Flash, but it's got to be kind of on point with how bad some of the CG is in Transformers: Rise of the fucking Beast. Like the scene where he puts on the suit and his face is just like an orb in the suit. I was watching that and I was like, this is like a Hollywood movie, right? This isn't me with fucking reface. Like, what is going on here?
So since I'm watching all the DC movies, I'll give you a good comparison. The other day I watched Green Lantern. Some of the CGI in Green Lantern is better than The Flash.
Oh no,
that's rough.
Yes.
That's a rough statement.
If I sent you guys that text. If you haven't seen it, look up the Batman scene in The Flash in 4K on YouTube.
I'm glad you brought it up.
That scene is cool.
It is, but the cape looks so bad. The
suit is not practical.
I saw the Nicolas Cage Superman cameo, and it's like, then I read an article where they were like, no, Nicolas Cage actually came in to film his scenes, and it's like, What?
when you get to that scene in the movie that has all the quote unquote cool cameos, you are gonna fucking lose your mind at the stupidity. I can't wait for Matt to talk about that scene when we watch the movie.
Oh, I already know I'm gonna. For one thing, I should probably be honest with it. I fucking don't like Ezra Miller. I feel like if he were like, if a news story came out where like he was one of the dudes they keep finding in the Chicago River, I'd be absolutely okay with it. Like, I don't like him. I think he's a fucking cult leader wannabe, and so I don't like him. So like going into the, and then like I don't like the fact that WB and DC was like, hey, guess what? Fuck you, Zack Snyder. So I already have a negative. Like, I like the original Aquaman, but even now I'm like, fuck Aquaman too. Like, and I like the first one. Like, I've got nothing against James Wan. Nothing.
Well, actually, I guess since we're shooting the shit, I'll let you boys talk about the movies you are, but we could talk about some DC stuff and some of the strike stuff that's happening.
We'll talk about James Gunn running it into the ground before it ever gets started.
But, what have you been watching, Giovanni?
I watched Oppenheimer. I definitely recommend it. It was a great watch. I've been watching What We Do in the Shadows, and I'm loving the new season.
Okay, so how far are you? Are you caught up? I'm not caught up yet.
I'm missing episode 3.
I haven't watched number 3 either. Alex, is everybody caught up to that?
I haven't started it yet.
I haven't watched any, but I follow the Instagram page, which doesn't hold back on spoilers, so you can talk about whatever.
I just want to know what they're going to do with the one character. You know, I think if you've seen, Alex is waiting until every goddamn episode is out so he can fucking binge it. But he's got his earmuffs off. Yeah, I don't like what's going on with Gizmo. I don't know what the fuck it is.
It's a little weird.
Yeah, I'm not exactly happy with it. Barbieheimer is actually a porno.
I have my theories. So, and then I've been watching Bear. If you haven't seen Bear, it's so fucking good.
I do want to watch it. I saw an article where people were saying that Bear is a detriment to the food industry because it's showing people what it's too much like.
Oh, it's exactly like, as a person who worked as a chef for 5 years in the food industry, Bear touched on every note that it needed to touch on.
Well, there's chefs out there that are like, no, this show's gonna hurt the industry because who the fuck's gonna want to work in this industry if they know exactly that it's like this? And it's like, well, that's kind of something maybe you should change. No, like maybe. The industry needs to change a little, or
that's bullshit. Because anybody who's, even if you work in your family kitchen, anybody who's got in a kitchen, they know from the beginning, even as a dishwasher, you're fucking rode into the goddamn ground. Like if your father or your mother owns that restaurant, you are fucking being slammed.
Yeah, I feel like if you have a small restaurant that you own and run, you're always working until you get to a point where it becomes like, oh no, that's the local pizza spot. Like new people move into the area and they go, they put on Facebook, where do I go for pizza? And most of the people in the neighborhood say that fucking place. But even then, you're probably still busting your ass on the daily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Alex, what have you been watching except for the heat spots in your eyes?
I just finished the rewatching fucking The Last Boy Scout again with Bruce Willis.
Damon Wayans. I can't hear you.
But that's about it because I've been sick for a couple of days, and before that,
he's just watched it over and over.
It actually took me a long time to watch a 2.5-hour movie.
Alex looks and sounds like he was on a heroin binge, and like we had to spray cold water on him to wake him up before the episode. He's Uma Thurman after the adrenaline needle right now. You okay, buddy? He's just wiping blood from his nose. He's like, yeah, fine. No problem.
Dude, that scene always bothered me, how hard they slam it into her chest.
I don't know, man. Through the fucking breastplate. And he looks at him like, breastplate?
It makes it even worse because they have the whole fucking conversation about it before, too.
Jen's suggestion is Alex needs to be waterboarded. See, Jen believes in tough love.
Jen also reminded me, I watched the first half of Waterworld.
God. He told me that the other day. We were on Discord. He's like, so yeah, I was watching Waterworld. I was like, oh, fucking shut up. No Waterworld talk right now. Worst movies. The worst two movies you can think of, oddly enough, both star what's his face.
Kevin Costner.
Not Kevin Costner, the other one, the bad guy in Mario Brothers and the bad guy in Waterworld. What's his name? He was in Speed.
Dennis Hopper.
Dennis Hopper.
Yeah, Dennis Hopper.
Yeah, he had two really bad movies go. Can you imagine they're making Waterworld and they're like, no. This is the next big movie. Like, really? You want fantasy adventure? You're not gonna. This is gonna be the biggest adventure since Popeye. And it's like, wait, you like the movie Popeye? Now I think Alex does like Popeye.
I started that
haven't seen
today too.
Speed
Oh shit!
In forever.
Dude,
Speed
Popeye
is such a good
Popeye is
movie.
awesome.
Oh, that's a good question. Is Waterworld better than Gleaming the Cube? I'm gonna go with yes. But they're two totally different movies.
Yeah.
And Waterworld
One
is longer
One is
though.
emptied out pools, and the other one is actually in a pool of water.
Here's the only thing though. Waterworld is like 2.5 hours long, so Gleaming the Cube is like 79 minutes, so it's over quicker.
I'm gonna go with Gleaming the Cube just for sake of runtime.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, you only have to sit there for 80 minutes while it happens to you.
Since we're talking about Hollywood stuff, I'm just going to throw this out there. Kevin Spacey won all his rape cases.
Well, not
So,
one.
there's
He got not
The
guilty.
European ones. I think he's been charged in America, though. I think he has a case in America.
Dude, I was like, let's see what the court of law says. And then he released his independent Frank Darabont video or whatever the guy's
Those
name
videos
is,
were
and I was
fucking
just like,
creepy.
he's lost his fucking mind. Like this
Have you
is
seen
Think we'll
those?
get a new one?
not a new one, but like it was right after he got like the charges and stuff. It was like a few months after, and he came out with that one where he's just like, I'm not dead, and he's in character, and it's like, this is creepy. Like I don't want him back
Yeah.
because this is fucking creepy. Like get out of
It's
here.
disturbing.
What
It
if
is. It's
okay?
really weird.
What if he did come back, but he became like a horror movie king? Like he became like the Christopher Walken to what's that fucking movie? The series.
Prophecy.
Yeah, The Prophecy. He does like 7 horror movies, and like he becomes the new fucking Insidious universe guy.
Who targets only young males?
Come into my specialized home. What? Nothing. Never mind. Drink your wine. Drink your Jesus juice.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
Well, you Matt, what have you been watching?
We finished Walking Dead. We're trying to finish Community. The plan is to then run into Mad Men and probably another viewing of The Office. Movies wise, we watched The Mummy 2 and 3. I gotta say, I didn't love the third one. I had never seen it
third one's the
before.
weakest.
I had never seen
Really
it.
like two.
Yeah, I gotta give Brendan Fraser credit though, because it's like 2008 when that movie was out, and he was still ripped. Like I don't know where he went and got fat, like what years it happened, but by '08 he was still in great shape. The storylines, the third, I guess also his body hurt from making those movies. The third one's also weird because Maria Bello plays Rachel Weisz's character, and it doesn't work. For one thing, why would you cast an American actress as a British person? Like when you had a British person for the character in the first place.
They always cast British people as Americans.
Yeah,
They
but
can do the accents.
yeah, like there's just something about it. Like, and I don't know. It's just weird also, like, because we watched the first one and the second one relatively close to each other, and then we watched this one like right away. And so you go from number 2 to the third one, and it's like, who this bitch? Jen said their chemistry was also off. It was. It didn't have the same flow as like the original. Like every time he went to go yell her name, he's like, Evie! It's like, who are you talking to? That bitch ain't here. She's not in this movie. Like, it's somebody else. But yeah, we haven't watched a ton of movies. We did watch those. I do want to watch The Scorpion King with Jen, because I actually do like that movie. That was
Yeah,
like,
the movie looks awful, but it's a guilty pleasure. I do like the Scorpion.
well, that's like one of the first movies, like right before The Rock got crazy. Like he had that one, he had The Rundown, and then he made a couple kids movies, because every fucking actor has to, I think. And then he like blew up. He did make a couple so-so, like he made that movie Snitch, which was meh. And then there was that other movie where he was Faster, I think, which were just like generic action dramas. And he's like, hey man, you gotta pay your dues. Why do we have that in Hollywood?
wonder if it's like a contractual thing with being in SAG, like you got to sign on for dumb movies.
Well, look at James Cameron. He directed Piranha 2 and was fired on the set before he did Terminator 1.
Oh wow.
It's like a lot of these dudes that like became huge. I mean, Ron Howard as Opie in the fucking Happy Days. Like, it's a little weird how like you could tell that industry, the Hollywood industry, is a fucking machine. Because it's almost like a union where like if you're there for 20, like look at, and I'm not trying to take away from his acting prowess at all. Look at David Duchamel, the guy from. He was Polka Dot Man. He was in the Batman Dark Knight. He was in that car movie with the kid that's like deaf but not has tinnitus. I can't remember what it was called.
Drive.
Not Drive. It was the other one where he's like constantly got music playing. Anyways,
Baby Driver, whatever thing.
he went from a nobody nothing to having a small part in Dark Knight to now being essentially. I don't think he's been a AAA Hollywood leading man yet. But he's definitely
there's a lot of horror stuff now.
Yeah, he's been a leading man in like the tier 2 movies. So it's like I really do feel like it's one of those things where if you put enough time in, like you're going to get cast in something big. Like there's only like, as many actors as there is. I feel like it's all the same motherfuckers doing auditions. So at some point, you're going to bump into somebody that liked you at some point. And they're like, yeah, you know what, you might be right for this one.
Yeah.
That's why I appreciate Nick Cage, because
Huh?
from the beginning to his career isn't ended, he's the type of weirdo that does weird movies.
Yeah, he does whatever he wants.
I think well that was probably one of his problems with Hollywood and why he had his first falling was like his whole thing was he was doing movies that he had to do. Like he was doing movies where they were offering him 20 million, so it's like, yeah, I'll do Snake Eyes. What is that? Like, you know what I mean? So he was just doing random. He did a few random weird ones though. Like 8mm is a weird fucking movie. And that was like at the height of his career or right about there. But you know, now I think it really is like he reads the scripts and if he enjoys it, he's like, hey, why not? Fuck it. The problem is he probably gets shit tons of scripts where like some asshole has idolized him their entire life and they've just written a movie written around him. Like the movie doesn't make sense if it's anybody but Nicolas Cage in it, you know?
That's why. So there's. I haven't seen Beau is Afraid, the third Ari Aster film, because no one sells it on Blu-ray.
Oh, is that the one? That's a Joaquin Phoenix movie, right?
Yeah, and I was looking up interviews with him, and there's an interview where Ari Aster talks about directing him, and this is why actors are such fucking pieces of shit. Joaquin had like stopped them and told them something along the lines of like, yeah, I get it, you got me, like you need to stop fucking being a fanboy. And then there's videos of him going to like premieres and like they're obviously doing the like, okay, you got to promote the movie, you talk. And Ari Aster's handing him a mic because he comes in without a mic and he keeps shoving it and he's like, I don't want to have this conversation. Like, I fucking hate actors like that. I hate Joaquin Phoenix.
Dude, I feel like if I'm the director and Joaquin Phoenix started talking shit to me, I would just be like, swing away, Meryl. Now go fuck off, slave.
Isn't he one of those actors that like to get into the fucking role? Like he's method acting?
Yeah, he's like Jim Carrey. He's a piece of shit. Like,
yeah.
He also bitches. Like he didn't want to do the Joker role. He bitched about that entire fucking role. And he's doing Joker 2, so it's like,
well,
dude.
I mean, the almighty dollar talks now, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could transition into the strike shit, but the problem with Joaquin is like Matt said, Hollywood is a business. If you're not gonna be part of the business, like fuck off. Like you got paid to do a job. You have to do the promotion. You have to have the speeches.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where it's like I just want to make movies, and it's like no, you wanted to be a movie star. There's a difference. You would just want to make movies, then go make $1,200 for a 6-week shoot on some piece of shit indie movie. You wanted to be a movie star. So here you are, movie star. Do your fucking job and parade yourself to the public. Because that's what you are. You're a pariah that people love. If you don't accept that, and the other thing about it is most Hollywood people are narcissists. So it's probably much less about like the art of it, and it's much more about like, oh, you're making me wake up at 6 a.m. I'm Joaquin Phoenix. I was in Gladiator. Like, go fuck yourself.
There's a video you can find after he wins an award for Joker where they're doing like the backstage press and someone asks him a question. He's like, didn't I answer this already? And it's like, dude, fuck off. Like, you got a paycheck, do your job, and then go home. Like, shut up.
Joaquin Phoenix, if it wasn't for Joker, would have sailed into fucking insecurity or obscurity, because he did that bullshit movie that was like a prank movie that wasn't a
Yeah,
prank.
he was a loser.
Like
before.
he was on his way out of the limelight, and the Joker saved his fucking career. Like, the guy needs to shut the fuck up, read your fucking lines, and then go back to your house and your millions of dollars and enjoy your fucking life. Like, the fact that these big time actors are still struggling can suck my dick. You don't live in the real world. You live in the Hollywood bubble. Your finances aren't an issue. The finances are so not an issue that you don't even know what your own finances are. You have to call your fucking accountant to see what your shit's at because you have so much money that you can't spend. So, like, you don't live in the real world. You live in, just like, and we'll go to the strikes, just like this whole thing about residuals. I understand what they're saying, but people in Hollywood need to understand in no other industry do residuals exist. And I use this example. A construction worker doesn't get to walk by a building he helped put up and go, yeah, I should still get $20 a month for that building standing. It's not a real thing. It's a thing only inside of Hollywood and the entertainment industry. So from the grounds of it is, I have to ask the question, why do you deserve residuals?
I think there are. It's weird. Like, when you look at the HBO stuff, like them shelving Batgirl, them removing their shows like Raised by Wolves and
Yeah, they got rid of,
other shit they're
they're getting rid of a bunch of shit.
they technically don't have to pay residuals on that. And then there's weird stuff of like trying to use background actors and artificial intelligence so that they could just like multi-use these people. The actors strike is like I don't
The
care too much,
actor
but-
strike is different from the writer strike.
You
Yeah,
guys
so
are
the,
just doing it to be in solidarity with them.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
my problem with the writer's strike is obviously there's an issue. Streaming services, they'll hire shotgun writers, fire them all. That sucks. Writers, because of the streaming bubble, writers don't get paid often. I think that's a problem. However, if writers want to make more money, I think there's another issue they need to look at, and it's okay, writers, if we're paying you, don't insert identity politics. Like,
Yep.
if you want money, then stop writing like if you have something to prove because you're writing for a TV show.
She-Hulk is a example of that, because the
Oh,
writing
She-Hulk's a
the
perfect
writing
example.
team and the head writer of She-Hulk came out and was bitching about how little they got paid to write She-Hulk. And my whole point is She-Hulk was a failure.
Yeah,
I'm not
and
talking
to-
I'm not
to-
talking about reviews or anything. I'm talking about it from what I've seen, according to the number of views from people on Disney Plus, commercially for them it is a failure.
And to be fair, as middle of the road as possible, I don't mean political. I mean, if I'm watching a show about a woman's struggle, whatever, that has its thing. If I'm watching a comic book movie, I don't need identity politics. Comic books are for kids.
Well,
Movie for-
here's the thing. If you're going to put identity politics in something, right, have your argument or whatever you're force feeding to the fucking masses be intelligent. Don't, and I'm going to use She-Hulk again, sorry, don't have your main character bitch about that she's not taken seriously by men because men are god-awful pieces of shit, and then 2 episodes later have a scene where she's twerking in her office. Because no real-life woman who's a professional that has worked her way up the ladder at a law firm to become a lawyer is going to be caught dead twerking in general, let alone her fucking office. So, like, if you want to add it in there, at least make it concise and not hypocritical episode to episode. And from what I hear, I haven't watched it, but
It's
from
bad. No, I watched
well,
it.
no,
It's
no,
bad.
I'm the Secret Invasion is suffering from the same shit.
Oh,
Also,
don't
I've
even
seen
get me
clips of
started.
it, and the CG is really
It
bad.
doesn't. It doesn't.
It's
look good.
it's typical Disney CG, but again with She-Hulk, the huge problem was every episode after an episode downplayed the last episode. And then the last episode of She-Hulk, the final episode, just shit on the whole series itself. and they were like, "Look at us, we're funny. We know this is bad. Isn't this funny?" And it's like, no, it's not. It's not
It's
funny at
not
all.
funny because I'm not going to waste 8 hours to watch your shitty show. Like that's the thing is like I'm not going to waste 6 hours to watch Secret Invasion. It looks fucking stupid. And the problem with that is if I don't watch Secret Invasion, I'm not going to understand anything going forward in the Marvel
I
universe.
stand by Secret Invasion should have been a fucking Avengers movie.
I thought it was
It
going to
should
be
have
an
been
Avengers movie.
Avengers level event.
The head of Disney, I think it's Bob Iger,
Who makes 700 times the lowest paid worker.
he did make the comment that Disney is putting out too much Marvel shit. And like there's a trailer for the Marvels, which I watched the trailer earlier today.
So did I.
Which is rumored to be delayed now.
I saw all the comments were like, "Oh, I just finished Secret Invasion. Can't wait to see what happens." And in my mind, I'm like, I don't want to watch a TV show.
No.
I have to know the plot.
Well, it's what stopped me dead in my tracks when we were moving on our Marvel ladder trying to watch them all. We're still stuck at, do we skip Wanda and just go in to Mind of Madness because I've never seen it, or do I have to watch Wanda? But then the problem is it steamrolls, right? Because you're not going to be able to understand Captain America 4 without watching that boring piece of shit of a TV show with Captain America and Bucky. You're not going to be able to understand the future of the Marvel Universe without watching the piece of shit show Secret Invasion. I can't understand Mouth of Madness or Mind of Madness without watching WandaVision. And that's a huge fucking... Like, we talked about this how many years ago where we said the problem was going to be that the more shows they fucking make, it's going to lock you into the content, and it's no longer going to be a thing of, it's not made for you then. You can't have that argument of She-Hulk isn't made for you because you're too much of a misogynist. No, you've connected it to the rest of the universe. You are making it for me. That's what you don't understand is if I'm going to follow any of your storylines, I have to watch all of the fucking content, so therefore you are supposed to be making it for me. And the fact that you're not, that's your fucking problem.
The problem is that they're using major story points like Falcon and Winter Soldier. In that movie, so in that show, obviously Falcon becomes Captain America by the end of it. Like that should have been the fucking movie.
That should have been the beginning. Like you should have rebooted in Captain America 4. You should have had another origin story of him becoming Captain America.
Yes.
And I know we're anti-origin story, but it's the only thing that would have made sense instead of doing that fucking TV show.
Well, it's also why I'm not excited about James Gunn, because I don't want to have to incorporate a TV show into a movie viewing experience. I don't care how good it is. I'm a big Green Lantern fan. I'm not excited for the Lantern show. I don't want to have to know some of the plot to watch a movie. Like, you don't need universes. Like,
yeah, I'm a little concerned with... The concern I have with his Superman movie is it sounds like it's leaning way more towards Smallville than it is Superman.
I hope not, man. I don't want another origin story. I wanted to see like old Superman.
Well, Gunn has said that his Superman's gonna be less dark and more bright and everything, and it's like, I don't know, man. I think letting Cavill go as Superman was a huge fucking mistake, despite him being connected to the other universe.
His whole DCEU is gonna be more of a happier tone, which is a bummer because I like Snyder.
I liked Snyder's take on it. I enjoyed the Snyder movies, despite me hating his last couple efforts. I enjoy a lot of his work.
Do you guys remember a MTV show called The Max cartoon show, that depressing ass comic book show?
No.
The Max is it's the depressing cartoon adult show. It's extremely sad.
The art is weird.
Yeah, the art is weird, but the story's it's not a kid show. It's not a kid show by any means. It's a very dark story. And the entire DC universe was that to Marvel. It was the more adult, the dark story. That's why, like, if Cavill continued the dark Superman, Superman who killed everybody, that would have been fucking amazing.
Can you imagine if they adopted the Injustice video game storyline?
Oh my god.
Like, dude,
that would have been incredible.
To show Superman just destroying humanity because he's grieving the loss of Lois.
If you've never read the Injustice comics. There's Injustice 1, Injustice 2. They're so good. They're so good.
And that's the weird thing about Gunn is he could be choosing a lot of really cool fan service type shit to do to boost the DCU, and he's not. And I'm a little confused by that.
And
It's also like
if anything, Wolverine, Deadpool have proven.
Okay. By the way,
adults
stop shooting.
Wolverine is the only goddamn like Sony game coming out that I'm like hyped for right now.
Sony exclusive.
It's gonna be it's made by Insomniac, which Sony owns. So they're now called Soniac. I just made that up.
Soniac owns.
To be confused with Cognac.
So there is weirdness around the Deadpool. I've heard a lot of rumors. I've heard a rumor that there's going to be a battle between Jean Grey and Magneto. You've already seen the photos of Wolverine in the classic outfit. There's rumor that there's going to be several legit X-Men cameos in there, but they're going to be probably the other actors who have played the X-Men. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. I mean, the worry is Ryan Reynolds is put on a leash, but then in the same token, if they're not gonna collar him, then that means he's got a lot of real estate he can use. Because technically, the universe, if he since he can travel through time and dimensions, he can do a lot of random shit and have no repercussion to any universe they're building.
But can you imagine a series of DCEU movies where they're just dark? They're for adults.
Well,
they're not for.
Here's the thing: you want to do a Marvel show. How come you haven't done Marvel Zombies?
Oh, that would be.
So it's funny
amazing.
you say that because the positive thing about DCEU is Matt Reeves has been granted his own play to like they've told him.
I think he's doing 2 and 3. Yeah,
like, you can do side characters. You can do whatever. And they're calling that Elseworlds, which is kind of mimicking. There's DC Black Label, which is like mature comics. Mm-hmm. So that's my saving grace that I'm hopeful for.
If you want a crash course in DC characters and some of those storylines, playing the Injustice storyline, both games.
Storyline is good.
They actually you because I didn't know much about DC, but like the Elseworlds and shit because of those games. You understand a little bit about that. So when nerds like Lewis talk about it, you don't look at them like they just told me my mother died in a car crash.
That's all I've been reading.
She can't. She's already dead.
Weeks. DC Comics. I'm reading a bunch of Green Lantern by Jeff Johns. It's so good.
All right, let's get into this fucking movie.
The shitty ass Transform.
I've been avoiding it for 40 minutes. No. So, who wants to start? Do we want to give the people the more positive? I think we should give the positive first. So we're going to start with Lewis. We'll have Alex, and then Giovanni and I will go.
Okay.
It's
hard, isn't it?
Well, no, I want them to say the positives because often we start ripping into a movie and then we go, "Oh fuck, they're kind of right." So like, I want the positives from them out first.
So I will say I do like, and I feel like I don't know why it's taking this long to get Maximals for Beast Wars. I do like the designs. I think some of the Transformer designs in this movie are a lot cleaner. I think Michael Bay was on so much coke when the first movie came out because you pause, like just do a quick pause on any of those earlier movies and it just looks like a seizure. Like you can't
blur,
tell what
like
you're
a shiny
looking at.
I am going to disagree just real quick with the CGI. In motion, maybe you're correct, but if I go put on the 4K of Transformers, despite not liking the way the Transformers look, I will guarantee you the detail you have on Michael Bay Transformers is way more than the glossiness we have in Rise of the Beast. Rise of the Beast look like it's like a video game that has a too heavy of an implementation of anti-aliasing. Like even on the up closes of the Rise of the Beast Transformers, they were not nearly as detailed. Like if you look at Optimus Prime in a still shot in a Michael Bay Transformers, he is way more detailed graphically, CGI wise, than the modern one, the newest one.
Yeah, I just meant purely from a design, like, I hate to say G1 Transformers, but like where you can see robot pieces and be like, that kind of looks like an arm. It doesn't look like I'm looking at Matrix.
Optimus Prime also looking like his old school pickup truck is pretty cool.
I think that's what they were trying to do.
I think
And if you look at the cartoon, he's very boxy, very smooth.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like the designs, the closer G1 designs. I really like the Maximals. I did like the lead, the dude from Hamilton is the only thing I know him from.
Yeah, he's called knockoff John Leguizamo.
Yeah, actually, pretty much. Yeah, I did like him. I'm running out of things, guys.
There was a lot of
There was a
throwbacks
portion
to
I like that.
there was a lot of throwbacks to like, the cartoon from all these scenes, like the part where RC's on the outside of the van and she's skating
RC,
through.
yep.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't like how they just brought RC because this is supposed to be before, and all of a sudden RC's there, but she actually comes later on in the future.
Yes, but this was
From Cybertron?
this was
So
that
it's like-
storyline. This was the Galvatron,
Yeah.
Ultron storyline. So, like,
I guess before we completely tap the cheeks of this movie, as the kids say, does everyone have a favorite Transformer? Mine is kind of a bizarre one. I had to explain this to my wife because she asked me when I was watching the movie, and I was like, my favorite Transformer is a old veteran who likes to complain and tell war stories. He's a pickup truck by the name of Cup. That was first introduced in the Transformers movie, and he's an old curmudgeon, and for some reason that was my favorite Transformer growing up.
I think my favorite.
Mine was,
sorry, go ahead.
mine was Blur. Do you guys remember Blur from the
Yeah.
movie?
Yeah,
I
he was
love
pretty.
He was the
Blur.
Micro Machines guy, the guy who
Yeah.
works for the Micro Machines.
Blur is essentially Matt. He's like ADHD. The robot.
Yeah, that's honestly, Blur is
Fair
very
enough.
much
Fair
much
enough.
like that.
My favorite character is probably Optimus Prime, but because of the
easy.
toys, my favorite toy was always Starscream.
Oh,
Okay,
Starscream is amazing.
Like when Starscream was really cool because like it was this because Starscream the toys weren't as big as the other ones, but so that meant his legs would convert into the plane and then you could like immediately pop him out and transform him pretty easily. I used to remember the Starscream toy being my favorite Transformer actual toy.
Starscream was awesome.
For me, I had two. It was Skyfire or Jetfire, whichever they called him, and Omega Supreme.
I think it was
Jetfire.
Supreme.
Yeah, Omega Supreme was
Well,
great.
there's two different places where they call him Skyfire and Jetfire. But he was like,
Omega
it's like,
Supreme was a big ass toy set.
oh yeah,
Let me ask something about
with
this
a
movie.
fucking train and everything.
Am I the only one that felt like this movie was too small? As in,
Yeah,
you go from having Transformers 1 through 3, where all they do is try to throw new Transformers at you, both Decepticons and Autobots. Like, but Transformers 2 has how many different random Transformers that come in, and in this movie, you get Optimus, Bumblebee, Pete fucking Davidson as Mirage. Which, by the way, it wasn't. I don't like Pete Davidson's character in this movie, but it's not his fault. I think he does his lines okay. The writing in this movie is just incredibly stupid.
so I love Mirage. The problem I have with Mirage in this movie is it's Mirage the Transformer with Hot Rod's attitude. That's the problem I have.
Yeah, and
They combined
it was and they made him like the focal point Transformer. Like they tried to make Mirage into Bumblebee from the original, where he's like the protector. Which
sucks. Like you remove Bumblebee from the whole movie, everybody loves Bumblebee, and you
replace him
introduce
with
this new
fucking
person
Pete
that, like,
Davidson.
what? Yeah.
Another part that really annoys me about this movie is it's literally retreading every fucking storyline we've ever seen. Like, yes, it's technically the cartoon movie storyline, but it still is, oh, look up into the sky. There's a giant alien race coming to our planet. It's the same fucking story we've seen in every Transformers movie ever.
That's what I was saying while watching this the other day. She's like, "What do you think of the movie?" And I'm like, "These movies are so cookie cutter. Like it's almost like watching a Marvel movie. Like it's there's towards the end where the slow mo things are going bad,
and the emotion kicks in where he's got his stupid little brother on the phone. He's like, "Hey, you're gonna be able to do it. Get up!" And it's like, I want a fucking meteor to hit that kid's apartment complex and blow him off the fucking side of the balcony so you just see chunks of this little motherfucker flying. Get him out of here!
that scene where it's like it's him, the sky, and he's like, "Yeah, you can do it," and you just see something coming from the
Yeah,
fucking
just,
clouds.
you're gonna be just fine.
Wham!
Where are you? Where'd you go? No names over the radio. Meanwhile, his brother's a burning fucking body and nothing more at this point.
I did think his brother's speech was the cringiest fucking shit I've
Well, like
ever
at
heard.
what point do you go, sorry kid, I'm trapped under a dead alien robot. I don't know if I'm gonna make
Do
it.
it.
Yeah,
No,
yeah. It literally, I got Danny Zuko over here as the little fucking kid trying to motivate his fucking loser brother, and it's just like, I'm really good with radios. Are you? Because you didn't use a fucking radio in the whole movie. What is the whole point of his background if the guy never touches any technology? By the way, the wrist gun that he has to cock to fire, but doesn't have to touch to disengage it, it just knows that he's feeling more mellow. What the fuck is that? Like, he literally is like, he's pointing it at the key, and he cocks it, and it glows red. But he doesn't touch it, but he thinks to himself, maybe I shouldn't destroy the key. And it disengages. What technology is that? I also mentioned earlier, if you watch the CG and the placements of the humans when they transform, the only one that ever makes sense is at the end when Optimus Prime puts him in his stupid chest cavity and he turns into a truck. Bumblebee literally takes the woman, puts her into the engine, and I'm not talking like at first and then it transforms. It's basically a car, and you see her going into the engine block, and all of a sudden she's in the front seat. It's literally like 2002 video game level CG fuck ups.
She just comes out as goo.
Right? Like show me the realistic thing where like Bumblebee breaks down because he's got too much Adelaide in his fucking engine block. This is blood and guts and weave and shit.
Dude, even so, there's a scene where Mirage gives one of the characters more of his body, and he becomes basically a suit of armor. In the original cartoon movie, the boy gets a suit of armor, and he can transform like the Transformers. The CG on his fucking face,
dude,
and armor,
it
was
looked
so
as bad as the
bad.
refaces. It was terrible.
It was so
And
bad.
let me ask you something about this. With that, why did Pete Davidson just go away at that point? Like, why couldn't
He
it?
disappeared.
Why wasn't okay, he gives him his armor and his personality is still attached to the armor. So then you have Pete Davidson going, you shoot, I move. And then so they're communicating, and Pete Davidson,
That would've made more
because
sense.
there's no explanation as to how the dude knows how to work the fucking thrusters or anything. So it's like, none of this makes
there
sense.
There is, Matt. He's military.
Oh, that he knows how to use radios. He knows how to
Yeah.
dial FM 98.7.
Okay, so that opened up a can of worms for me because there's the scene like I don't get the rules. There's the scene where Mirage says I could be something else, so he goes in as a garbage truck. So why doesn't he just become a bigger thing? Because the one robot, the big robot that becomes a plane, when he transforms into a robot, he's that big. Why didn't Pete Davidson become something huge? And also,
why aren't you gigantic after being a gigantic dump truck?
Yeah.
Well, no. I think the explanation for that is he
It's
wasn't
all-
actually there. It was just a hologram. I think
Yeah,
you
it's
can
a
get away with
hologram.
that.
Yeah,
oh,
it was
okay.
Mirage.
You
Yeah.
can. I think there's a little bit of wiggle room
But
there
there's
with that.
confusion because when he's in the when he meets them first, and Mirage starts transforming into the other vehicles, and then they show the dump truck. Like, as a watcher, if you don't know the Transformers lore, you're like, oh, they can turn
Well,
into whatever they want.
Well, you also don't understand until the end of the movie that Mirage is holograms. Until the fight he has with Scourge, you just assume Mirage is changing into different vehicles. You don't understand that it's all a mirage. It's all an illusion.
Also, from a volume perspective, where does the rest of them go when the dude gets the suit? I don't
Speaking
get
of volume perspective, RC, when she first transforms in the warehouse, she just grew like 5 or 6 feet, standing next
She
to
was a
Mirage.
motorcycle.
But she can sit inside of a fucking van. Get the fuck out of
Can
here!
I
Like,
ask the
learn your
question?
proportions.
Can I just
Like,
ask the question? If the Maximums had their ultra mode where they turn into robots, how come Gorilla Fuckface didn't turn into a robot and stop the fucking bird quicker?
Yep.
Like he literally hugs her to death in his ape form. Meanwhile, in his robot form, he could have just grabbed her and held her. Like, you probably didn't have to kill her eventually if you just turn into the other fucking form, you moron. Like, I didn't even realize they were going to turn into a different form, and then it's like, Autobots, it's the end of the movie. Transform. And it's like, what the fuck?
what gets me is when they show them in the movie and the movie's going along, I'm like, they're not going to transform. I was kind of disappointed at it, and then when they finally do, you're like, where the fuck was this? Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I was
Where
watching
this
it the whole
beginning?
time. Like, why aren't any of like not even in the scene in the past do they transform? And I'm like, I thought they used to transform. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
So the fight scene where he's warping in not Galvatron.
Scourge.
Scourge is warping in Unicron,
Unicron.
right?
Yeah.
That didn't look like Earth because of the ship and the setting.
Unless
So when I
unless
first saw
everybody lives in the
Yeah.
where they filmed fucking Prometheus.
Yeah, when I saw it, I was like, "Oh my god, they're gonna go to another planet. We're gonna get another planet. We're gonna hear Born to Be Stupid in the background again. Somebody's gonna get blown up." You know what I'm saying? Like, yes. No, it's on Earth. And then when he's fighting Scourge and Scourge's mask come off, first of all, you could have made Scourge Galvatron with the mask. And when the mask come off and Optimus sees him, he's like, "Holy shit, you're Megatron." I would have been like,
Well, yeah, but they don't
That
want to.
would've
They
been
don't want to
awesome.
touch any of that because it's a different
know,
storyline.
I
They
know.
they're staying,
It's-
and that's the one of the things I think this movie fails at too. Is it's trying so hard to be different from the Michael Bay trilogy that it's like, well, we don't want to use this Transformer and this Transformer, and Starscream was in all fucking four movie. We can't do that, and it's like, I understand you want to be different, but your movie feels hollow when you have four Transformers and a shitload of random robot goons that aren't anything. Like, it's a hollow movie as far as the Transformers experience. It really is.
Mhm.
Which is a big disappointment. I mean, think about the Michael Bay movies, where it's just random Transformers popping out all the time or being referenced. And in this one, it's like, well, I guess it's just us. Oh, look, a monkey. Like, it's a little frustrating with that. And then the writing is awful. Like, the lines in this movie are truly bad. There's things that make no sense, like when they're in the grates underneath the battle between Mirage and Scourge. Mirage is just like, keep going. Yeah, no, you should totally give his position away because
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Why give him away?
Like, just go get yourself killed by Scourge and fuck off. Like, why are you giving it?
Never
Why you
would've
just give him
known.
away? Right?
Also, the voice actor for Prime, his shit sounded like it was dialed in, like he just phoned it in.
Yeah,
Well,
it was not.
unfortunately, Peter Cullen can't be there. So I understand it, but I mean, there's the Bumblebee thing. I think is fucking stupid. They happen to lay him on the only rock that can absorb energon. Because I saw a few other rocks. I saw a few other rocks in the fucking area, and they weren't charged with energon. So it just happens to be the rock that Bumblebee's laying on. When did they lay him on the rock? I don't remember that fucking scene.
That's another thing.
That's when they brought him to the people.
But okay, so they bring him to the people, right? It'll bring him back. It'll heal him. So why did they not take the beast bot that they just killed and do the same shit?
No, it didn't. It wasn't going to heal them. They said this is his final resting place. They thought he was dead.
No,
And when
Optimus is like, do you think it'll bring him back? The Rock. And he's like, the other Optimus. They're both fucking called
Primal.
Optimus.
No, there's
Primal.
there's Optimus
Optimus
and
Primal.
Optimal. It's literally two battery companies that are just named something different. Like, they're both double A's. It doesn't matter.
So the
Railgun.
Gorilla-
Prime and
The
Primal.
Gorilla- the Gorilla tells the truck that like it's unrefined. It's unrefined,
Yeah,
unpowered.
King Kong
Prime
Prime
won't
is
do
what we'll call
anything
him.
right now.
It-
So by that logic, they should have took the fucking bird and done the same thing.
I love how Optimus is such a twat in this movie.
Yeah.
He is kind of an asshole.
Well, yeah, the only, and I'm gonna say this, including the actors, the only one who ever shows emotion is King Kong Optimus.
That
When
scene, yep.
he crushes her chest, which is pretty badass, but it's very understated.
Optimus is like the old 80-year-old on the block who's
Yeah.
like, "What the fuck I gotta do with
Fuck
this shit
'em!
again?" Like,
So here-
Autobots, kick the shit out of them.
My problem with all of the Transformers movies is I don't want to see Optimus's fucking lips, dude.
Oh, I
don't
know.
wanna
They
see
show
it.
him at the end of this, and I'm looking at it like, why does Optimus look like Jimmy Stewart? Like, what the fuck is going on here?
Why did
know
he have to have a
what's-
face mask that came off?
You know what's funny? In the later Transformers series in the cartoon, Optimus for some reason gets lips. In Beast Wars, Optimus has faceplate and lips. In this movie, when Gorilla Optimus transforms, he just has a faceplate. So it's like a fuck you to fans.
Wait,
Like,
oh, no, he's got lips in
give
this one.
Optimus. No, but he also has a
Yeah,
face.
he's got
They both
COVID.
do.
It's for COVID.
But it's like, dude, Optimus, like the face is so iconic. Just give him the faceplate. And the problem is, if you look at all the Transformers, like any like Oblivion or Dark Souls game, when you do the slider scale on a character, you could do the head and you can make the lips go.
Yeah.
all the
Yeah,
way
Optimus
down.
really
That's
suffers
what
from
they-
that in this one. Bumblebee,
I
my
don't-
fuck boy.
To be fair, in Michael Bay's movies, when Optimus had the face plate, you knew he was talking because his face kind of glowed when he said a word. And in this one, it's just faceplate and there's words coming from his ass. Like, you know what I mean?
This
Like,
one, this one very much, I think, suffers from the same thing as number 4 did. Even though it was directed by Michael Bay, it was a much smaller movie. Like compared to number
Remember
1,
4 or 5.
number
I don't
4
know.
was primarily there was like half the movie is set in China, so like it's a much smaller movie as far as the amount of characters you get and all that. Like, and that was my big problem with the Transformer movies after the third one is you go from the third one, which destroys Chicago, to movies that are very much smaller in scope, a lot like the Pirates of the Caribbean 4. You went from 1 through 3 that were these giant budget open sea movies, and then number 4 is like, no, we just filmed it on an island in Hawaii on the cheap. Very much that's, and especially the real big issue is if you compare this to Bumblebee, it is not nearly the same quality. It's a difference in directors. It's a difference, like, don't get me wrong, the director of this directed a Transformers animated series at one point as well. He's clearly into the lore, but my thing is, you're not guaranteed a sequel. Despite at the end of the movie they set up for a sequel, you're not guaranteed one. So why wouldn't you do the most complete story with the most amount of Transformers you can fit in that makes sense, with the most amount of Transformers action that you can that makes sense, in one movie instead of going, well, here's this one, but the sequel is going to be big. It's like, you're not guaranteed a sequel. These are big budget CGI movies, and it didn't do well financially. They've already
No,
talked about trying to
Paramount-
kill this franchise for how long? Like, you can't make a movie like this with this lack of, I'm going to use gaming terms. There's a lack of content in this movie.
yeah. Which is
Paramount
crazy because
wanted to
big
do-
robot, big monster movies, they make money. Like, they make money. So I'm blown away that this one didn't land.
The Paramount wants to do a trilogy, but this one bombed the worst out of any Transformer movie.
Yep.
And you know what? When I thought it was going to be good because I really liked Bumblebee. I mean, hell, I guarantee you, if you go to Bumblebee and you compare Bumblebee's CGI to this one, Bumblebee's CGI is better.
I wonder how much this movie cost to make.
Because, like, there is something about the CGI that isn't clean. It's not. It's almost like I'm watching it in 1080p rendering instead of 4K.
200 million.
There's something different about this movie as far as the overall look entirely. And I'm not just talking about, like, Transformer design.
Worldwide, it made 427 million.
Okay.
Do you think the CGI in the Transformers movies as a whole looks better than Marvel's CGI now?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Because there's still a couple scenes,
agree.
and even in this Transformer movie, like when Unicron's coming in, and there's that sweeping shot where the ground is busting up and the lava and shit's coming up. That scene is really cool looking. It's just in motion, it looks lower res than it should. Like, that's one thing about Michael Bay's franchise. You could talk about the blurriness and everything in motion as far as too much camera shake and shit. But his Transformers were always super detailed looking, and the shots of them themselves were at least clean. There is something different about this movie where, like I said, the CG looks almost like there's too much anti-alien. You know, like modern day anti-aliasing with the TT. That's what it reminded me of. Like, the modern day anti-aliasing tends to blur a little bit of everything. That's why things like video sharpening has become something in every video game, to sharpen the edges, because the anti-aliasing is so fucking strong and prevalent. And that's the way it's what some of the shots look like they greased the fucking camera. It's fairly blurry. So, like, I had a big problem with that. The dialogue, I like, get rid of the little brother entirely, relegate him to nothing more than he talks to him on the radio every now and then. That whole storyline's fucking stupid, because the only payoff you get for his brother being sick is the end where he talks to the Shadow Organization guy, and the guy's like, "We're paying your brother's medical bills." That's literally the scene. Is he's in the doctor and they won't see him because they owe him money, and then this guy says he's going to pay for the medical bills. That's the only connecting tissue to that entire fucking storyline. So it was useless to me. Get it out of here. They underutilized the girl storyline. They went through the same tread as the Sam Witwicky, except they give her credentials, and it's the same. Oh no, she discovered this. She comes along with the adventure.
Yeah,
fucking stupid. I had a big problem with this movie because I wanted to like it a lot. The removing the Bumblebee factor makes no sense unless you're a movie executive going, well, see, we had a Bumblebee movie which was all about him, so I think we need to kill him off in the beginning so we don't have too much Bumblebee. That's the only reason I could think they would have done that.
I think it's because like you follow clearly the Bumblebee replacement was Mirage in this movie, and then when Mirage you think dies at the end and is rebuilt, I think they're trying to let's get another Bumblebee in there, but you can't do that. Like, Bumblebee is liked because he's an iconic character of the series.
Well, that's the whole thing, right? They don't want to touch all the other Transformers shit because Michael Bay did it, yet they've got no problem doing the same fucking Bumblebee storyline just with a different Transformer.
Yeah, it's
like this movie is completely. Oh, Lewis is frozen. He lost power. We did notice his lights were flickering a bit. Well,
he died.
He did look up, and then all of a sudden it just stopped.
I told you, man. There's gonna be like his roof's gonna get ripped off, and it's gonna be a fucking alien in the sky, and he's gonna be like, "What the fuck?"
It's funny because just before that happened, I looked out my window, and there's all kinds of shit going on out by me.
It's flashing
well,
by me.
Maybe we should wrap it up then.
Wait! Before we touch the ending, the Shadow Organization. He meets this guy who's there for a new job. The guy knows everything about him and his adventures,
including his stupid little brother.
He's like, you should join us. He's like, who are you? He's like, we're an organization. We need you and your friends to basically help fight this big battle coming up. The wall opens up. It's a Men in Black bullshit. He hands him a card. He flips the card over, and it's, Spy Kids. It's fucking Spy Kids. It's G.I. Joe.
You know, because do you remember there was that rumor that Men in Black was going to cross over with Transformers?
I do remember that.
You gotta wonder if that was a leftover idea where that original ending would have been like, welcome to the Men in Black. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta wonder if they're reusing ideas like that. And frankly, that's a god-awful idea to do that, but
dude, it could have been, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Isn't most of the G.I. Joe crossover stories, though, of G.I. Joe fighting the Transformers?
That's what I thought. I thought they were against each other.
Well, I think the whole thing is they are at first, and then they, like every other goddamn storyline, they end up coming together to fight Cobra and Megatron.
A mutual enemy.
Yeah. Can you imagine he hands him the card and fucking Xavier shows up and it's the X-Men?
That would happen in a Deadpool movie. Like that would be, like, hey, look who we found. Hi, big robot. The one of the other cardinal sins in this movie is the same thing the Predator did, which is putting the guy in a suit. Like, I understand it's in the cartoon, but between the awful CGI of the face and just the whole concept to me being stupid, they should have avoided it.
Yeah.
And the problem is they make the main characters so fucking weak, right? Like throughout the whole movie, he's just like a pitiful dude. And then it's like, oh, I can finally help. I got a shiny suit. It's like, all right, I guess. I think it's stupid, and the thing is, I don't know if you're getting a sequel to this. It didn't do well. And my opinion is, if you're not guaranteed a fucking sequel, make the best movie you can make. And I don't find this to be the best movie they could have made. They excluded a lot of shit they could have put in there. The CGI for me
was supposed to kick off the new line, right?
Bumblebee was the revitalization to it. They said, fuck the old school. We're not doing any more of the Michael Bay storyline or universe. This is a whole new universe. We're starting it in the 80s, and then they continued it in the 90s with this one, and we got a lackluster movie. All right, I don't think we have Lewis's dogs yet, but we will get them at some point. But let's give ours. Alex, you go first, since you're probably the most positive out of all three of us.
It is a 2.5 for me. It's just a nostalgia too, because there's a lot of stuff in there that I liked from the old stuff, the old cartoons, and it was hitting a lot of those good little memories of watching the cartoons. But the one thing that were keeping it down was some of the fucking voice acting.
Yeah, some of it was really
mainly
fucking bad.
the prime actor. Like he sounded like he was a robot, like a computer generated robot fucking voice.
Well, they all did. Even the King Kong Prime or King Kong Optimal, I couldn't tell who the actor was behind that voice because it was so compressed and
It was heavily, yeah.
and
The bird was Michelle Yeoh, or what's her name?
And exactly my point. You have Michelle Yeoh in this fucking movie, and you have this terrible of CG, this terrible of lines. Like, come on, the dialogue's fucking stupid.
He's trying to download the Discord app to put on his phone.
He could just give us his hot dogs.
He did.
What
he
are
said
they?
2.5. It was fine.
That makes sense. Okay.
Okay,
Giovanni, you go ahead.
so listen, I was in the same boat, 2.5. Okay, but I made the stupid mistake of, after watching this movie, because it was pulled from all the nostalgic shit was pulled from the cartoon deliciousness. I went and watched the cartoon deliciousness right after.
Okay.
So this is a 1.5 for me. I cannot stand it. The CGI was bad. They need to stop putting the human element in movies like this. Get rid of the human element. They need to stop doing it. And the characters that they could have had, Scourge, you could have put Galvatron in this movie. Was never in any of the first movies. You could have absolutely put Galvatron in this movie. You didn't even have to call him Megatron or tie back to Megatron. You
Yeah.
just put Galvatron in the fucking
Powers
movie.
back on.
Yeah.
Like, you could have
Am I
went
back?
to another planet.
You are
You
back.
have a time traveling unit. You could have went through to another planet. Like, it's a 1.5 for me. I just can't. I can't do it.
Lewis, since you are indeed here, go ahead. You give us your score. Oh, we lost him again, I think.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so Lewis gave it a 2.5. He said that it was written by monkey brains and should not exist, I believe was his exact quote.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and give it a 2. I don't think it is the worst. Like, I mean, it might be the worst Transformers movie, although I really don't like Transformers 4 at all. So
Which one was 4?
that I can't remember the overarching storyline, but that was I think Megatron was coming back as Galvatron, and they end up going to China. Or no, there's a big facility in China where they harnessed the life source from the Megatron, and then they were putting it into their man-made Transformers.
Was it The Last Night?
Yep.
Yes.
I think that was the probably the second worst story. I think this is the first worst story.
Yeah, this one may be the worst, and then number 4, and then 5, and then I'll just go. I mean, storyline wise, number 1 through 3 are like. I think number 1 is a really solid movie. I like number 2. I think it's a big dumb action flick. Number 3 is one of those ones I think takes too long to get moving. Once it does, you have the end 45 to an hour long of destruction. But the funny thing is, every time his window closes, Giovanni gets put to the center. So we've got the podcast bar is just like
Slice
Right
half
by
his head
face.
yeah, you're just fuck. I'm just gonna what we're gonna do here is we're just gonna end it here in a second, but we'll get it figured out here. Yeah,
That's funny.
the problem with this movie is a mixed bag of things. I don't think they were trying to do fan service, but I think they did it in the wrong way, frankly. Yeah, it's a 2 for me. I didn't really dig this. As I was watching it, I was getting more and more like, what's going on? Like, this is stupid. This is shallow. Yeah, 2 out of 5 for me.
To your point earlier, Matt, when you said that the director, knew of Transformer, knew of the lore, I think the problem was the director. Like, if you're like, I know the lore, I want to do this, but then you have the studio telling you, cool, we don't want it tied to any of the older movies.
Yeah, and
then
yeah.
you start dropping off. Like, shit.
Well, there's
okay,
only so
can't
many
use that, can't
storylines
use
you
that.
have, and if they tie your hand and they go, no, Michael Bay did all the Megatron, we're not touching Megatron. That's a problem. You know what I mean? Like, because it might be a thing of limit. It might be a thing of budget. I don't know. Maybe it was a pandemic budget type thing, whatever, that affected the CG. But I mean, Bumblebee was refreshing. It was great. And then you get this. And it's a problem, frankly, because it's like, what is this? Like, this is supposed to be better. Like, I had high hopes for this. Everybody had high hopes for it because Bumblebee was so good. That's the truth of it. So it's like, coming off of that last movie especially, this one's a huge fucking disappointment. All right, you guys good? I mean, we know Lewis isn't. He's in darkness right now being haunted. Everybody have a wonderful week. We will see you hopefully next week with something. Got to see what's going on. We don't know what. We don't know with whom. But we're going to figure it out. Until next time, you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you so much. And we'll see you soon.